The Fate of Lee Khan is a taut thriller built on a Charlie's Angels premise. A woman named Wan Jimi is reopening her spring inn, buried into a cliff face in a remote territory near Mongolia, and famously staffed by
We're hot chicks.
This hillside Hooters brings a lot of excitement into town, particularly because her team is well known as pickpockets, rabble-rousers, and fugitives. Even more exciting than the inn reopening, General Lee Khan is coming, and everyone in town is on tenterhooks in anticipation. Lee Khan is a dangerous Mongolian general who's coming to obtain the battle plans of the Han resistance that could doom any chance of Chinese freedom. He comes incognito, oh so incognito, to the Spring Inn, where he proposes to stay with his guards until the transaction for the rebels' plans is completed. What he doesn't know, but we are set up to understand, is that the entire staff of the inn are bent on taking Lee Khan's head. The movie's set during the Yuan dynasty, when the Mongolians lorded it over the Han Chinese. You don't need a lot of historical background to follow this plot. Rebels good, government bad. In some ways, wuxia films can feel a bit like sword and sorcery films, where roving barbarians and mercenaries and thieves and bards easily become heroes, and adventure is always in the offing. Director King Hu elevated this kind of escapism into an art. Each of the hot chicks has their speciality, and in a way, this film is the third and least celebrated of a trio of great female-led action films. Come Drink With Me from the Hong Kong Shaw studio, and the Taiwanese A Touch of Zen, both which I've reviewed before. And finally this, The Fate of Lee Khan. This is not as classic as Come Drink With Me, nor as perfect as Touch of Zen, but this is the fun one. The two sides of the conflict are riddled with spies, communicating via secret signals. On the Mongolian side are some clumsy officials and corrupt soldiers. On the rebel side are a roving troubadour, much like Yue Hua's role in Come Drink With Me, others whom I won't spoil, and the Fox Force 5 band of waitresses who provide the movie's biggest spark.
Fox, as in we're a bunch of foxy chicks. Force, as in we're a force to be reckoned with. And 5, as in there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us.
Each actress is huge fun to watch. One classic scene has the pickpocket stealing a jewel from a drunken gambler, and then being forced by her annoyed manager to return it by stealth. Over all of this is Wan, played by Shaw Brothers stalwart Li Hua, 36 years into her career as an actress and playing an aging beauty queen who can still manipulate the local officials with her charms, in particular the local Yuan magistrate, who she has wrapped around her finger and to whom she dictates patriotic, honorable speeches. She commands the squad of sexy reprobates, but when faced with General Lee Khan himself, her powers falter and she must call on her allies to finish the game. The group includes Hu Qin, maybe better known as Pan Jin Lien from the Shaw Brothers' Golden Lotus back in 1974. Here is the wiliest of Li Hua's spy network. Lee Khan is accompanied by a beautiful young woman, who Touch of Zen fans will recognize as Xu Feng in only her second major screen appearance, and a remarkably forceful actress at age 21. She's the brains behind the Mongolian operation, and the steel rod that keeps her famous husband upright. I mentioned Come Drink With Me earlier. Another unofficial King Hu trilogy is that film and Dragon Inn. In all three movies, the inn is a nexus of power. It's the center of social life, and here implicitly of the sex trade, or so the visitors hope. But the intrusion of powerful bandits and government investigators makes the inn a center of political violence as well. Dragon Inn and Lee Khan both have bad guys hunkering down at the inn, surrounded by patriotic rebels. My one complaint with the three inn-centric films, while Hu's movies look 1,000 times better than most Shaw Brothers action flicks, their final fights cannot hold a candle to any Chang Che or Lau Kar Leung movie, or honestly to most of Jackie Chan's output, and that's even with a young Sammo Hung as the fight choreographer of The Fate of Lee Khan. The emphasis is simply on the intrigue and not on the punching. The movie feels like a spaghetti western, as many Chinese-language action films did in the 1970s, but more than anything, it's a King Hu film. Powerful female characters and a series of tense set pieces. The early 70s were the peak of Hu's output, and this movie, while maybe not his crowning jewel, is a perfect example of why King Hu was king.